At 1:24 in the morning, Tampa detectives sit across from Devon Arthurs. Hours earlier, 2 roommates had been found dead, and police say he had walked into a smoke shop with a gun after the shootings. But the first problem in this interview is not getting him to talk. He wants to talk. He wants to explain why he believes the violence prevented something worse. The detective has to do something harder. Let him speak, keep him calm, and separate his story about motive from facts that can actually be checked. Watch how quickly he tries to frame the victims before the detective even gets to the main questions.
We begin like this. When we go to the jail, can I please speak to the doctors there? They told me that I can talk to doctors when I get there.
Of course. I don't run the jail.
Yeah.
But when we get there, we'll explain. Are you feeling any physical ailments right now?
I don't feel physical ailments. I feel like I felt very calm and collected after I did it. I felt like I wasn't really capable of feeling empathy for it until I'm afraid of, I feel like I have no, I don't want to harm anybody in this room. I don't feel like that, but I'm concerned about how I would react to being around people there.
Like maybe other inmates, that kind of thing?
Well, I'd be concerned about being around there because I don't want to harm them.
Understood.
I feel horrified. I feel horrified by what I've done, but I also realize 2 reasons why it happened. I mean, there's not I already have pretty much pled guilty to this in the sense of that, but these people were not innocent people.
No, and that's what I'll get into. We talked about that briefly when you came in here. Is that your feelings of or lack of empathy, may be understood when you explain to me.
All right, I'll explain who these are.
And all we ever want is the honest truth. That's all.
All right,
we want.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
These people, I'll tell you exactly what happened today.
Yeah, take it from the beginning, man.
And at a very bad turn of events in the other room, I'm disassembling a washer tent with not the intent to harm anybody. And I remember when I did that, I hear Jeremy, he grabs my Quran off of the thing, and he says, "You have your book of fairy tales here." And that set me over the limit. And I remember in a blur, I shot them both, and I wasn't thinking clearly. I wasn't thinking sane. I wasn't thinking like a rational human being at that point. If I could go back, I would not do that, and I remember I was in a trance at that point when that happened. I wasn't thinking clearly. And I took and I grabbed the Glock 17 that was in the condo, and I immediately went to the Tampa Hamptons, and I told people, I said I killed 2 people, and I did it because of the coalition bombings, and I did it because of this. But I had no intent to harm anybody there. I had no intent, and I didn't. I had plenty of opportunities to. I did not.
That gives detectives a confession, but not the full case. He is blending 3 things: religious anger, alleged plots, and his own fear after the shootings. The detective's next move is to focus on control. The question is not only what he says he felt, it is what he was still able to choose.
And I'm thinking, well, I might as well be killed by a police officer. So I tell those people when I go to I'm not going to harm you people. I'm not going to hurt any of you people. The only thing that I did in terms of damage is I destroyed some of the products inside there because I was in a trance. I was very angry. I had no control over myself. And I remember I told them, and I kept my promise, I didn't harm them. The police officers come in, and they're not what I expected. I was expecting a SWAT team to come in and just put me down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. My point is that I'm not a monster, but I don't feel like I'm sane. I don't feel like I'm capable of pretty much functioning. Maybe I'm saying that because of what I've done. I feel it's tragic that a loss of life has happened. And I remember when they came in, I heard them speak. I saw their facial features and stuff like that, and I could tell that they were humans. Like they were normal people.
Who?
Well, the police officers.
Oh, okay.
And I had no intent to harm any of the civilians there or at the Tampa Hamptons. And I remember when I talked to these police officers, they handled themselves professionally and very well, and I calmed down a whole lot. I had one of the hostages there. I said, "Hey man, can you please grab me Coca-Cola?" And he did. He opened it for me. I drank it. And I remember I just calmly put down the weapon. I never held it up to them. I wanted to, but keep the finger off the trigger so that they could shoot me down.
You talking about the officers?
Yeah, I wanted them, but I wanted to keep the finger off the trigger.
Sure. You don't want to harm them.
Yeah, and I remember I was still panicking, and I left, and I was still panicking, and I left or whatever. And I remember I was placed in the patrol car, and from then on out I was driven back to where the crime scene was, pretty much. But
How did that happen? Did you direct the officer back there?
yes, I did. I directed them back there. I was compliant. I was respectful. I didn't have any intent to harm anybody except for those two today.
You mentioned, take you back to, you mentioned, you used the word hostage.
I used it because of the literal sense of the word. I told them,
Tell me, did you walk in there and tell anybody they couldn't leave that place?
No.
Tell them,
I told the woman asked me, can I go back and call my husband? And I said, I'm not going to harm you. Just don't go back there. Just for now.
Okay.
And I had no intent to harm them. I didn't point it at them. I didn't do anything like that. I had my finger off of the trigger the entire time. If I wanted to, I could have just
Sure.
them, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that because I wanted to.
No, you're saying that you had the ability
Yeah.
to do it.
And I did not.
And that's why I think, if I may, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. You're saying that you feel that you're not acting as the same person. To me, it sounds like you had a lot of control over yourself, and you chose to do certain things based on what you believe to be an insult, or a couple guys that were pushing you, bullying you, picking on you, is what it's picking on something you believe strongly in, your faith. You mentioned your faith.
Yeah.
Anybody else you encountered didn't give you a problem, you didn't give them a problem. So you sound like you sound like a man that is, if I may compliment you in some regard, you're not the person I think that you're basing your acts, or you're describing, or using your acts, or letting your acts define who you are. I don't think that's who you are.
This is the first turn. He says he was in a trance and had no control. The detective points out the opposite. At the smoke shop, he made decisions. He did not fire, he talked, he put the gun down. That matters because control at one moment can make the no control explanation weaker at another.
I remember, and the thing that keeps me rational about this is that, I feel what I've done is horrible in the sense of that there's a human life that's been lost, and I feel like this is sad. I feel like I'm an animal, and I feel like I should be in a hospital somewhere, just be getting medicine or something like that to help me. And I want you to know that I realize the full extent of their families are gonna feel very bad about this, their loved ones, and I feel the utmost bad about that. But I also realized that these people, what they were planning with the explosives that were downstairs.
Yeah, tell me about that. What's that all about?
Atomwaffen Division is a terrorist organization. It's a neo-Nazi organization that I was a part of before I converted.
What's it called?
Atomwaffen Division.
Okay.
And I remember my roommate Brandon. He's alive, the guy that was in the American uniform.
Uh-huh.
I hope he gets his life together. He's a good person, but the things that they were planning were horrible. They're planning bombings and stuff like that on countless people. They're planning to kill civilian life.
Well, were they specific in their plans?
Power lines, nuclear reactors, synagogues, things like that. And the reason why I mention this is because it's self-evident. You go into the place, the same room where I unfortunately took their lives. There's a giant Azov Regiment flag that's in the background. Azov Regiment is an organization in Ukraine, which is an NS movement that crucifies people and has harmed a lot of people. And I came directly from there. These people were not good people, is what I'm trying to say.
You came directly from where?
I came directly from Ukraine for the conflict. And
okay, you came from Ukraine. Okay.
No, excuse me, no. I didn't come from there. The flag did. I'm saying that I'm saying for context, these people were not random people. They weren't. I've done something horrible. I should have gone to a hospital.
Brandon, Devon, how did you end up at that apartment?
Now, the interview becomes unusual. Some of what he says will later connect to real federal evidence. Explosive materials were found in the apartment, and Brandon Russell later faced federal explosives charges. But the detective still cannot treat every claim as fact. From here, watch the repeated pattern. The suspect expands the story. The detective asks for specifics.
The only things that I could rationalize was if I hadn't have done that, if I hadn't have shut this organization down by doing this, there'd be a lot more people dead than just 2 people from that organization.
Do you think by killing these 2 guys, you shut down the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Because
why is that?
When the police showed up to the location, they saw that there was explosives in the garage. If they access the computers, they can find that there's a lot of encrypted chats for the organization itself. it'd be easy to track down each member.
Are these three guys prominent members of those organizations?
Brandon's the leader of the organization.
He is?
Yeah, and I was
Okay.
and I was a senior leader at one point, and I remember.
How many guys have you got following you guys? How many guys are part of this organization?
60 to 70
Throughout the world? Throughout the country?
throughout the country, and
Okay.
and these people were basically, if you're familiar with like the Order of Bob Matthews or whatever, he was a guy that killed like a bunch of federal agents and stuff like that. Like that's basically who they venerate. And these people, they have no human empathy like we do. Like it's hard to describe. I wish that if I could go back and do something over, I would sign myself into a hospital to work about my anger issues and my rational thinking skills, which I don't think is at par of like.
But I think this goes beyond anger issues. I think it's something a little deeper for you. I think it's more of it's a passion that you're passionate about doing good for people. Now, the manner in which you went about doing it today may not be something that is going to go over well, and it's not something you're proud of now. But I think your motivation was to protect a greater good.
Yeah, it wasn't, and I was also very angry because I mean he insulted the Quran and stuff like that. So I will say that for
There's some petty anger
There's
involved.
petty anger,
Yeah, I got you. No, they were tweaking in. You got pissed off.
and it's like the reason why I say this is that like I don't like I had thought like some of these things before. Like I gotta go do something about the bombings. I gotta go do something about that, like in Syria and Iraq.
What kind of things were you talking about doing though? What kind of action were you thinking about taking?
I was thinking about like just having like a hostage situation like I did over there, and just kind of like talking to people and just like I get arrested and I probably get
Like you did over at the smoke shop.
Yeah,
Go in there with a
probably
gun,
arrested.
kind of hold people down without really.
and try to
get through.
try to get not to them individually, but maybe like get to the media, like message.
So kind of bring attention to your cause.
Yeah, and it's like, and I didn't, and I feel horrified by what happened today. I don't feel happy about what happened, all right? And I feel like I'm an animal to a degree.
Well, I mean, there's some, animalistic qualities as to what occurred and how you went about doing it. Like I said, you tell these guys today. Walk me through today. You're there all day, the three of you guys.
Yeah, we were there all day, except Andrew was at work for a little bit of it. He was at a recycling plant working, and I remember he came home. I remember I was on the encrypted chat, and they're saying all this stuff like
What's this encrypted chat?
It's a thing called Wire, and
WIRE. Wire.
yeah, Wire. It's an encrypted chat, and there's an Adam Waffen chat on there. People are like
Okay.
talk about like bombings, robbing, raiding military bases and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I mean, my point that I know like I'm kind of beating a dead horse here is that this is basically one terrorist killing two others, and I'm not.
You consider yourself a terrorist?
By the definition of what I've done.
You mean just by what you did today, or
Yeah,
what
what I
you've been
did,
doing?
by what I
you're
did
involved
today.
in?
Yeah, what I did today and what I was involved in, and I don't feel. Can I go grab that water that's in the other room?
Absolutely, man.
All right.
I'll grab it.
You got it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I remember just like, this is never going to be reviewed except by like people in power. Like people can't see this online. People can't listen to this.
No.
This
No,
will never be publicly like released ever.
What? This being what?
The recording right here.
No, a police report becomes public record.
So you're telling me that this becomes public record?
Police report, not the audio recording.
All right.
He's trying to turn the interrogation into an intelligence debriefing. That can be useful for police, but it can also serve him. If the story becomes about a larger threat, the killings can be framed as a terrible but useful act. The detective needs the information without accepting that frame.
So that's essentially your room.
Yeah. So I mean, I remember you were in the other room. You were saying like I heard the word HMTD referring to the explosives.
Yes,
that
yeah,
were
we're discussing it. You familiar with
That
that is?
100%. I
Okay.
know these people. They know exactly how to build They knew exactly how to build bombs that could have destroyed this entire building.
Who are these people?
Atomwaffen. These people.
Okay.
Yeah, these people.
Not these three individuals in there, or I mean, they're lumped in with that. Brandon, Andrew, and
Brandon's literally somebody that has the knowledge to build a nuclear bomb. I'm not meaning about that. He is literally somebody that he's somebody that literally went to school for 4 years to study radiation specifically to build a nuclear bomb. And
do you know if these materials are inside that condo right now?
No, there's no nuclear materials. Actually, there is. Yes, there is nuclear materials in that garage. There is some nuclear materials.
Okay, what's in that garage?
In that garage is HMTD. Yeah, those explosives. Yeah, some ammonium nitrate, I believe, and I know that there's some radiated materials that he was able to bring in through the Bahamas. And because he's a Bahamian citizen, he was able to bring it in.
How did he bring it in?
He brought it in through the airport. He was able to spoof the people that were working there with the TSA.
Okay. And do you know is it kept in a particular vessel inside the garage? Do you know where it's kept?
It's just in the garage, or it's in his or it's in the supply closet in his room.
Okay.
And you'll know it because there's a giant SS flag above a lot of the equipment, ammunition, and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, the more that I tell you, the more you see the scale of how big things really are.
Yeah, no. This is, absolutely serious stuff. So that's, that's what any
it's
information you can give me to assist with, like I said, with combating these, these misguided individuals, to say the least. Then, I think we should make the effort to do that. I know we're talking on a broader scale, and I get. Can you bring me back to let's talk. Well, not just America. I'm going more specific now. Let's talk about your condo. The four of you guys in that condo. Let's back you up to when you converted. What led to your conversion?
That redirect is subtle. He does not say, "I do not believe you." He says, in effect, "Bring me back to the condo." In a homicide interview, broad ideology is background. The legal case still depends on what was in the room, where the gun was, and when the decision happened.
You could have made a horrible situation much worse. And you did. Back up to the apartment. You mentioned you didn't want to kill those people. Did you want to kill Adam and Jeremy? Or Andrew and Jeremy?
No, when I woke up today, I only did that.
No, I know when you woke up today. When did you formulate that idea? When did they get
when it just happened to be a really bad situation when I was disassembling and assembling a Wasser 10. I'm in that room.
A Wasser 10?
Yeah, Wasser 10. It's a Romanian Kalashnikov variant. I shot them with that rifle.
So, okay, that's a nice question. Where's that rifle now?
It's somewhere in the living room.
You left it behind the condo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't take it with me. I figured that if I took it with me.
Do you recall how many shots you fired?
No, I don't recall. I know it was a blur.
Do you remember where they were when you shot?
They were in the room. They're in the bedroom that's next to the living room. And there's a bathroom connected. Sorry, it's just it's a terrible.
No, I know. I'm sorry, but I mean.
No, it's fine.
Trying to bring you back there, but we got to do it. So.
I know, and it's just I remember.
What were they doing?
They were. He was about they. I don't know what they were doing in there. Honestly, they were just they were getting me. I remember Jeremy starts basically saying I don't know why you have this book of fairy tale shit. And he's about to throw it at me, and I remember I just go, "Oh, really?" And I remember, and this was after I had read all these people plotting and stuff like that on that wire chat. So I blast him once, and he's shot in the chest. He's down. I double tapped to make sure that he's not in pain. I didn't want
double tapped him where?
Head. I think I shot
Jeremy.
him.
Okay.
Jeremy. Andrew freaks out. He starts running for his handgun. I got him down right there.
Where, in the bedroom?
Yeah, the same room.
He was running for his handgun. Where's his handgun?
His handgun was on the corner with right there, and I gunned him down. I get two headshots right there, and they were down. I remember I looked at them, and I'm very angry, and I'm thinking in my head, you guys are plotting to kill people, and you have the audacity to insult me when you're plotting to kill pretty much.
And you're standing there holding a rifle.
My people, yeah, and I'm holding the rifle, and I see them dead. And I felt very cold. I felt very I didn't feel any gratification from it, but I also was very
Did you expect
collected. No, I didn't. I was honestly, my first thought is, did this really happen? Did it really happen? Did this really just happen? It's freaking out. I feel very cold. I'm walking into the living room because I get away from that. I look back and I can see that there's smoke in the air, sort of, because of the firing. Mm-hmm. Everything smells like sulfur. I still have somewhat of a ringing, and I still can smell sulfur. I think it might be my mind playing tricks on me, maybe. And I see them cold and dead just right there. And I remember just like seeing blood all over the walls and all over the ground, and I remember I was thinking like just God, why did it have to come to this? And I remember.
Do you remember how many shots you fired?
No,
Did you empty the magazine?
I didn't empty the magazine. I definitely had bullets left, and
Okay.
I remember I grabbed the Glock. I grabbed the Glock 17.
Is that yours?
No, none of these rifles were mine. These are Brandon's, and
You said none of these rifles.
yeah, I mean the pistol wasn't mine. The handgun wasn't mine, and the rifle wasn't mine.
How do you have access to it? Is Brandon allow you have access to it? Is it all his community guns? So to
Yeah,
speak?
community guns.
So they're Brandon's guns.
Yeah,
What about the one that Andrew was going for?
that was his.
He's got his own.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that?
It was I don't know. I don't know what the
Handgun?
was. Yeah, handgun.
But you don't know what kind.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I remember
What about Jeremy? Has Jeremy got his own gun?
no, he didn't. He's planning on buying a Glock though, but
You don't have your own.
no, I don't. I don't
Okay.
have my own. I remember like when I shot him down with the Wasser 10, like I looked and it was pretty much like maybe I can count the shots, but it was like I know it was obviously more than 4.
We said the one in the chest.
One in the
Yeah,
chest,
double
one in the
taps
head.
and 2 in the head, right?
Yeah, and then
We said one in the head.
one in the head, and then I made sure that. Sorry, it's hard to picture the
No.
themselves.
Well, man, how close do you think you got at any one time to when you shot these guys?
How close did I get? Like
The initial shot sounds like it might have been some distance between you and Jeremy, but then double tapping, did you walk
5
up on
feet.
him?
No, I didn't. I didn't walk up. I didn't walk up point blank to shoot him, but I just went but it was something what felt like out of a movie. It felt like, I'm not saying that in a positive sense. It's like a horror movie kind of.
Kind of like an out-of-body experience, surreal.
I don't feel proud of it. Even if I feel wholeheartedly 100% with what I've told you and what I've done. I've prevented the deaths of a lot of people. That's all I can really do at this point.
This is the cleanest line in the interview. I know you believe that, but I am asking specifics. It tells the viewer exactly what the detective is doing. Belief can explain a story. Specifics can be tested. So now he asks for plans, locations, and physical evidence.
Well, I know you believe that, but I'm asking specifics. Do you know about any specific plans that these 2 individuals had?
Yeah, they're planning on going down south to Alligator Alley and destroying 500 kV lines that were going along the road there.
How are they planning on doing that?
They're planning on taking HMTD and placing it at the base of the thing and then blowing it up.
Just these 2 individuals?
Well, Brandon's
Brandon's going to be a part of that as well?
Yeah, and I remember.
Did they expect you to be a part of that?
Yeah, they did. I wasn't going to be a part of that though.
Even with your current faith, they still expect you to go along with it?
Yeah, they were just, I guess. I mean, that's what, I know for a fact that they wanted me to. I'm just saying, I guess, because they were idiotic to think that I would have went to go do that with them.
Did you guys ever sit down together and plot out the operation?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Alligator Alley. Is there some plans that's
Yeah,
in play?
it's not going to happen anymore.
Well, no, you've taken care of that. But I mean, where are those plans? Where were they found?
Plans were all said verbally. Things were not written down or typed specifically because of this reasoning. However,
Okay.
in the room where I killed them both, there's a giant map of the United States where we frequently go there and we would plan and we would look at like streets and roads and stuff like that.
But not actually plot anything. It'd be just conversation.
Yes, verbal. And
I wouldn't go into that map and see things circle
Yeah,
or
there's nothing circled
push pins,
or-
put in certain targets or anything like that. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing like that.
Okay.
And exactly because of this reasoning. And I remember I tried to throw them off, to get them caught.
Such as what?
Such as like, it's very, very technical, very specific stuff, but I would say stuff like I would give them like bomb recipes that were basically duds that wouldn't work specifically, like, to drive all the way out there and for it to be an operational failure.
Now, by they being those 2 or the 3 of them?
3 of them. It's just that I don't really have that much knowledge on bomb making. Or
Who has that knowledge?
Brandon. Brandon's an engineer as well as the fact that he studied like the radiation stuff.
So Brandon's the brains when it comes to the explosives.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
That stuff in that apartment is him.
Yeah, that stuff is him. But Jeremy and Andrew would also help with like giving Brandon money to purchase that stuff and that kind of thing. So
They would fund it, but he was the guy that would handle it.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys, that would be bad news if they were in there messing around with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen to the distinction. The suspect says there were plans. The detective asks whether there were written plans, marks on a map, or anything a search team could find. When the answer becomes that it was verbal, the claim may still be serious, but it is no longer the same kind of evidence.
So right now, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, okay? You're talking 20, 30 years down the line. I want to make sure that we have all the bases covered here. Is there anything else in that apartment or that condo that you think we should be made aware of, especially if we're going to go in there and do any kind of searching or, investigation? What's in there that we need to be initially made aware of? You mentioned bombs, you mentioned things in the garage, or at least
Well, the things in the garage are the bombs, pretty much, like explosive materials. There is no timed fused bomb there. There are explosive materials there for making bombs.
For making them, nothing's been constructed yet.
Yeah, nothing's been constructed yet, but this is clearly stuff that is lined up for the explosives there.
That's the purpose of those items?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the entire purpose of it.
You guys don't build model rockets and go out in the back and
No.
shoot them off into the, or
No.
fireworks for 4th of July coming out
No.
there? Nothing
No,
like that?
none of that. It's all literally there specifically to kill people.
Which actually brings me to another question is, did you reach out to Brandon and tell him what happened?
No. But the only communication that I've had with him since then is him staring me down from like his car and then me staring at him.
Do you think he knew what happened? Do you think he would have somehow gotten word? Did Andrew or Jeremy have a chance to get a call out for help?
No.
Or a call to him that, hey man,
No,
Devin's
no.
not falling in line today.
No,
Be
not at
careful.
all.
Where was Brandon?
Brandon was actually a drill for his National Guard stuff, and he's in the National Guard with that MOS that I mentioned.
You mentioned earlier that you didn't wake up with this plan, but was that by design, that this happened without him there? Do you think it would have been different if he was there? Do you think he might have been caught up in the casualties, or what do you think?
No,
would happen if
I
he
don't
was there?
think that. I think that they just said the wrong thing at the wrong time, and I think that I was
But he could have been there when they did the same thing,
If
right?
he did, yeah, but honestly, I'll be honest, I don't think that I would have killed Brandon. I probably would have just, I would have maybe done it out of necessity if you reached out for a handgun. But,
Self-preservation.
Self-preservation. And to be honest, most of this isn't necessarily self-preservation as much as it is preserving people that...
No, I'm saying Brandon is...
Yeah,
Brandon would have been there,
absolutely.
right?
That would have
Yeah.
been self-preservation.
No, in this you see is, well, you have made it clear that primarily it is, these guys were pushing your buttons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reflecting on it as you are, you served a greater purpose.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily what motivated you at the time. At the time, it was you were filled with rage from what you were reading, and these two start poking you with sticks essentially, and then desecrating your beliefs.
Yeah, so I mean, well, in hindsight, I can look back on it and say, okay, it's a tragedy. There's two human beings that have lost their lives. It wouldn't matter if they're both the incarnate of Hitler. It would still be kind of tragic. There's humans that have lost their lives here, and they could have easily, basically, chose a different path. I could have chose a different path and think this wouldn't have happened.
Here the detective begins separating two timelines. One timeline is the later rationalization. He says he saved people. The other timeline is the moment in the room, anger, a weapon, and a trigger event. That distinction becomes the core of the interview.
Do you think you would have been driven out at some point?
I think that I would have definitely been driven out. Today, I was at my boiling point. I was supposed to just messaging, before the shooting, pretty much. I was literally, I had the Skype open, and I was about to type, dude, I'm packing my and I was gonna then contact the FBI or some local police to go like that. Unfortunately, it didn't really play out that way.
Is that because these guys were pushing your buttons, or you said, you know what, I got to take care of, I got to do some good here for humanity?
It would be both. I think that the best option would have been me saying what I said, get out of there, contact, the authorities, be like, hey, this is not a good plan to live, there's a lot of people here, this condo, and at these locations planning X, Y, and Z, and that would have been far better.
So you see that you could have chosen a different path with how to handle this. So the killing of these two individuals was more personal at the time. Again, we look back now and say, yeah, you probably saved lives in the process, but that wasn't necessarily what guided you at that particular instance. Am I understanding that right?
It was both, because I was on it. I was in the wire chat and the encrypted chat, and they were talking about it. Oh yeah, we're going to kill this people.
They being people on the wire chat.
Yeah, they being on the wire chat, with the same exact organization, same exact mindset.
But these two weren't in the room sitting there with you
No,
having that
no,
conversation
they
with
weren't.
these
No,
people?
they weren't. But it's like like I'll just tell you, like it's really short-sighted and dumb of me to do that, and I feel empathy for their families and stuff like that.
But not for them.
I feel empathy to a degree that I wish that they chose different choices.
Do you think that they that if you chose the path you look back on, reflect on now, and say you should have chosen, do you think it would have made a difference in their lives? Do you think that they could have come around and seen things maybe the way you see things?
No, I definitely don't think that.
Do you think that in the end they would have had to have been eliminated to prevent further death or carnage?
Yeah, and to a degree, now that I really think about it, as much as I don't want to say this because I've had a lot of good memories of Brandon, I wish that Brandon was there to kill him as well. So I think that I'm already a dead man.
Well, do you think that whatever plan that you guys were going to carry out, specifically the lines down on Alligator Alley, do you think someone else is Brandon going to continue? Do you think it's still going to happen?
Oh, absolutely. Well, no, it's not going to happen.
I mean, do you think you prevented that now by eliminating these two guys?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. 100%.
But Brandon's still alive, Brandon. I mean,
Brandon's still alive.
You didn't kill Brandon. Brandon's still the head of the snake. Is still alive.
I don't want anything to do with that. I'm in custody. Jeremy's dead. Andrew's dead. Brandon's entire condo is now police quarantine. He doesn't have access to the materials. He doesn't have access to the manpower.
But he could get it again, couldn't he?
I mean, he could, but I mean, like, it would take a while for him to do that.
Okay. Why is that? This is not something he acquires quickly?
Well, I mean, it's just not something he acquires quick.
How does he acquire this stuff?
I don't exactly know, but I mean, like, he just gets it through channels that, like, through legal and illegal means. By illegal means, like, he'll purchase it off of people that he meets, and I don't know anything about that, but I know that he just purchased it off of people. He went to USF, so he had access to a lot of these classrooms that had these chemicals, and he just steal them. Okay. And he also would purchase them legally, but in the smaller packages, and over time buy, a lot of them, so it would culminate into having a much bigger, quantity of them.
So you weren't necessarily part of that operation?
No.
You're aware of it because you're there.
Yeah,
you're aware of it because you're part of the group, and at one point you were a card-carrying member, really pushing forth the message.
Yes.
And then at some point you started to kind of get away from that. You found something something better.
Yeah.
More worthwhile, but you were still there. You were still around all of it. So you were aware of it through that.
Yes.
Do I understand that right? You weren't actually going out and being a part of this at that point.
Yes.
But these three were still there. They were still on the cause.
Yes.
And you were just privy to all that.
Yes.
And today, like I said, you were listening or reading things that were stirring you up, and these two just piled on.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
Do you think if you were cleaning your weapon, if you weren't taking apart or dismantling the weapon, do you think if it was somewhere else in the house that you would have gone and sought it out and gotten it and still did what you did and come back and killed these two guys?
No.
You think just because you had it and it was just...
Yeah, I think that, and I lost complete control. Like, I went absolutely berserk.
The detective's strongest technique is not to call him a liar. It is to accept a piece of the story, then test what it would mean. If the alleged leader is still alive, is the threat really over? If he could have called police, why did he not? If he believes the deaths were necessary, would he have done more?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that it would open some eyes to a much bigger thing than what happened today. And I think that could definitely, basically save a lot of lives overall. I think that could save...
Without necessarily murdering two individuals. I mean, you think there's ways to do it without using violence?
Yeah, I think I think there's ways of doing things without violence for everything, but I mean, overall, when it comes to these sorts of people, if you could arrest them, ideally that would be better.
Would you refer to today as maybe a necessary evil?
Yeah.
I mean,
in hindsight,
when
yes.
you committed, it was a necessary evil.
In hindsight, yes. I just wish that it went away I think that's the best way to put it, a necessary evil.
I mean, you wish obviously you could snap your fingers and poof, they'd just disappear and it would go away, but obviously...
I think everybody does when it comes to taking a life, but it's...
Well, yeah, I mean, hindsight and regret is one thing, but I'm saying you look at this and then you've made the statement that maybe even if Brandon was there, it might have been in the best interest of other people that you would have had the opportunity to kill him as well.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And so if you had to do all over again, you think you would do it differently?
I do it differently to where I could think that I could get them all shut down without them losing their lives. I mean, I
You
feel
think that'd be the better way to approach it?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would have been better if they would have just gotten through the system and caught and maybe go to jail or something like that for what they were planning.
Do you think that if these two had, if they just would have stayed in their room and listened to their music or did whatever they were doing without actually writing you about your faith, do you think you still would have come to the conclusion as you're, taking apart your gun that these two just need to go?
No, I wouldn't have, because I think that they set me over the limit. Like they said.
By now, the moral framing has narrowed into a single phrase, necessary evil. It is dangerous because it sounds reflective, almost philosophical. The detective immediately pulls it back to behavior. Would this still have happened if the victims had not provoked him? Was there a way to give police information without killing anyone? Those questions set up the final test.
Walking over where?
I was walking towards that room because I was walking from the supply closet with the washer 10. And I was just
Already put together, ready to go, ready to
it's like
rock and roll. And
yeah, it's just like I remember after he said that, I pointed it at him and he didn't react to that. I pulled the trigger and I saw him.
Do you think if you would have cowered, like, all right, man, no, I'm sorry, that you would have?
Then I think that they would have immediately attacked me, probably tried to kill me.
But let's say you got the reaction. So he pissed his pants right there.
I think everybody would if somebody pointed a gun without.
I would think so, but you said this guy didn't react that way.
Well, it's because it's not like he realized it. It's because it was too fast. It happened too quickly for him to react.
Okay, so you didn't really actually give him a chance to take back and apologize.
Yeah.
He came in there already with the intention of pulling the trigger.
Yes, and
so if he said, I'm sorry, he would have barely gotten that out before he was taking the first bullet.
yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but he wasn't even putting up his arms.
I
know. It's just like, well, no, if he put up his arms or something like that, I probably would have stopped myself.
Okay, you think there would have been a time? You didn't just walk around the corner.
I probably would have just been like, it's not loaded as a joke or something like that. Run back to the room, place it there, and just leaving.
What was the first thing you did after the shot? Did you walk up and check him?
I had adrenaline. No, I had adrenaline. I saw him hit the ground. I hit him again. Andrew's running over to his gun, so I take him down with 2 shots, and they were killed instantly. So it's like they were killed instantly. It wasn't like it took a lot.
You said Andrew went for his gun. There's the officers that went in there initially to clear and make sure everything was all right.
I thought that I could have sworn they had a firearm in the corner of the room on top of a dresser. There was his handgun there with a few magazines.
The officer said that they found there was actually one of the two, based on what you're saying, I'm assuming it's Andrew, actually had a gun on his hip.
Probably, yeah, definitely Andrew. So he's running over to it and he had it like that. I mean, when he grabbed it, he fell and then he fell like that. I don't know.
Okay, you in your mind, he's now making a move to that. I mean, but at that point, let's say Andrew froze, stood there in fear. Do you think you would have reacted and shot Andrew in the same manner?
I don't know. I don't know.
Jeremy he's getting it because he's running this trap. But Andrew, was that reaction or was that, you know what, I'm going in there and Jeremy and even if Andrew's just sitting there reading a book?
I don't know. I don't know.
Was Andrew running his mouth too?
Yeah, but I mean,
okay.
I remember just like I honestly don't know. It's just like.
I mean, was there a reason why Jeremy got it first, or was he just the first one you encountered when you walked into the room?
He's the first one that I encountered.
Okay, so if Andrew did this individual, Andrew would have gotten it first.
They just said the wrong things at the wrong time.
Together they said those things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember just like, I don't know, it's so like really horrifying to think about, it's like, is there any way that we can have like another meeting like this after this at all?
If I'll tell you what, we could probably talk about doing that, and there probably will be a time where that opportunity may arise.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're starting to wear down, man, we can.
Well, it's not about me being like, I don't even think that I'm going to be able to sleep, but it's like, you just, I don't know, it's like, have you ever killed anybody before?
It's hard to relive it over and over.
It's fatigue, man.
So you know how it feels, right? Like, so you have killed a guy before.
For the interviews, we understand.
It's not pleasant.
All right, yeah, it's just like, and You know, it's like the only way that I can rationalize it is like, you know, really like these people were planning on killing other people. If I had not done this, there would have been attacks and stuff like
But
that.
I want to be certain that I understand this correctly, because I don't want to. If I had the opportunity to speak, I don't want to put words in your mouth. If somebody asked me, I want to make sure I got your.
All right, yeah.
Is that you're saying that, but that's reflection after the fact.
That's reflection.
That wasn't something you was going through your head when you walked into that room and said, you know what, these guys need to be stopped. I need to be the one to stop them.
Yeah.
It was you going into the room was a reaction to what they were saying, goading you. You look back now and say, you know what, but it had to be done anyway. It's probably, do I understand that correctly?
Yeah,
okay.
and it's not out of like trying to like falsely like rationalize.
No, I get what you're saying.
And I already had those thoughts in my mind in the sense of like these people are worthless. These people are the worst, you know. And stuff like that. So I mean, I already had these minds.
Well, like you mentioned, if they were decent people and just running their mouths, you wouldn't have necessarily gone to this extreme.
Yes, yeah. So it's like.
But you've already had this stuff building up against these individuals.
Yeah, it's
today just blown over.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it culminated with what is today. It's like, oh man, like it's all really, really like surreal to me.
The final return to the room changes the weight of the whole interview. After more than an hour of saying it happened in a blur, he confirms he walked in with the rifle ready and with the intention of pulling the trigger. After this interview, investigators did find explosive materials tied to Brandon Russell, and Russell later pleaded guilty in a separate federal explosives case. DOJ later reported that Russell also received a separate federal sentence in 2025 for a power grid conspiracy in Maryland, but none of that erased the two deaths. The criminal case against Arthurs took years because of competency findings. In May 2023, he pleaded guilty. Multiple court reporting sources say he received 45 years in prison, followed by 15 years of probation. Florida Corrections records current as of May 31, 2026, list him in state custody at Graceville Correctional Facility with a current release date in 2062, subject to change.